So welcome guys from the EternalFlow Token. Welcome all of you to the Tayarra Hub. Awesome Sunday. We got an first AMA ever here. We are pretty hyped up about this. I want to welcome the team. Let's start. Guys, could you like briefly introduce yourself? What's your position in the team? About your background a bit?
Certainly. So I'm Brian. I'm the co-founder of the project, and Josh is here with us as well. And Josh is the CEO of our company, and it is, yes, an official company. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then I'm the COO of the company as well. But super excited and very thankful to have this opportunity to speak to you guys today. We launched this project back in December of 2021 and have been quite busy. We think with the progress of the project, and if you look at our roadmap, you can see that we've accomplished quite a few things that we set out to do from the beginning. And in short, and we'll get into more detail here in a few minutes, but in short, the project started. The initial component of the project is the Eft token, which is a token that offers a 15% Binance Pegged Ethereum reflection to that token, which is one of the highest, if not the highest, that we've seen in the market. And there's a reason that we did one so high. And you'll learn more about that when Josh is going to get into the tokenomics of this and explain why that matters and why that's important. And with the Eft token being the core component to this entire ecosystem we're developing, you'll learn a little bit more about that as well. And so kind of what brought us together was several of us or me and Josh in particular, were invested in other projects, and we kept seeing what we call deficiencies in the development of those projects, and we've all unfortunately experienced some really bad. If you've been in this space any amount of time, and we've spent years in this space, you run across some issues every now and then. But our backgrounds are in corporate, and between me and Josh, we've got well over 20 years worth of product development, product management, and customer experience in that space. And so when we saw that some of the projects just weren't really being ran like we kind of thought they should, it really motivated us to do something that we thought was definitely valuable, but also something that we knew we could complete for the people who were going to be investing in this project. So a lot of that motivation was just from being on the other half of failed or just like really inefficient projects. So, we came together, we built a surrounding team that also has a very diverse background. We have our CTO has got a background in math and physics and is a full stack developer. We've also got other people on our team that are in product development. Most of us have had some sort of corporate experience and a management experience, so we know how to run a project and actually get something off the ground. And so when we put all that together, we launched our site in the token back in December. We've really moved quickly through our roadmap, because that's just our nature, is to get projects out there and get them completed. We did the audit when we launched. We also have
Awesome, yeah.
We've done a KYC. We've of course, we're on the exchanges like that. We've listened on exchanges.
Let's wait a bit. Let's wait a bit with that.
Okay.
We got all the tokenomics section prepared. I just need to remind you guys of that, who you are listening, that the EFT, what is really important, is token owned by its parent company. It is a company based in Singapore, And this is very important because, you know, when you are trying to build up something that has the outlet to the real world, you need to do this legal stuff. So I'm very happy to see you guys working all of this legal and really trying to bring the overlapping factor to the real world, which is amazing. Like, we can see a lot of projects dying because lack of copyright, legal stuff that just needs to be checked. So amazing.
Right. And thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that was important to
Yeah.
us, is to get this incorporated, because we want people to know that we're not here for a minute. You know, our vision for this project is very much long term. And you know, we'll talk. I don't know if you've got some other questions you want to ask, but the core purpose of the EFT token is really the heart of this entire project, and the games that surround it. The NFT play to earn games that are currently, we've got one game that's currently in development, and we saw some actual gameplay from our developers the other day. So we're getting much closer to be able to testing that. But the way that interacts with this core EFT token is what we think are going to be really excited about. And there's some really cool reasons why.
Awesome. Yeah. Like, this is really what makes me kind of click. And I've thought to myself, yeah, like, this is the projects where I can look for the long-term vision, because since if there is no legal stuff kind of operated, then we can say then most of these tokens kind of die. That's well done. I love it, guys. So let's move to the tokenomics. Like, how is the ETF token utilized in the whole ecosystem, and what are the long-term holders' benefits? If, for example, if you wanted the guys here on the voice buying or staking your token, then what is the most incentivizing reason that I should buy your token?
Josh, you want to? Yeah, I went ahead and shared it's a vision of the revenue model. There's an image that I shared in the channel. But Josh, if you want to go ahead and get into that.
Yeah, thanks. And good question. So the reason why the EFT token really is the core foundation of the company and the vision of the project is that it has that 15% Ethereum or Binance pegged Ethereum reflection. So as Brian mentioned, it's one of the highest in the market, if not, the highest we've seen. In addition to just that 15%, if you look at it as a full picture of the ratio of what part of the tax we have in place goes back to the holders, it's really an extremely high portion, because it's more like 90%, since we have a 20% tax, and then 15% goes to rewards, and 3% is used for liquidity generation and price stability, and only 2% goes back for marketing and development. So, if you look across different projects, it's very rare that you'll find that portion of the tax is really going back to the benefit of the holders.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, we're developing a few NFT play to earn games, beginning with our current one, which is called Fighters of Legend. The purpose of this game in terms of a revenue model is that we have a marketplace that operates in parallel to the game, which allows players to trade, as buy and sell NFTs in the form of characters and land that are used within the game in order to earn more of the different game tokens and assets, which we'll discuss more later. But, to get back to the marketplace and revenue model, so with that marketplace, whenever someone is buying and selling an NFT, there's a 5% tax that's put in addition to the sale itself, which is placed in the form of BNB smart chain. So what that does is it allows us to get a consistent amount of cash flow, which we can then use to directly buy back the EternalFlow token, and then place that token back within the game's ecosystem as an additional reward for staking some of the in-game tokens. So what that looks like is, if you buy EFT now, you can earn any of the growth from the token or the transaction volume that goes on before the game now, but as the game comes out and we develop more games, we're going to have a consistent amount of that revenue being pushed directly towards buybacks, which benefit the holders both in terms of price increase and transaction volume, but also in the fact that it then pulls those big portions and big buys of EternalFlow Token out of circulating supply to be used for in-game staking rewards, which then allows players
that's
to
awesome.
earn
Like,
even more of that token, and then they can stake the EternalFlow Token after either buying or earning it within BrewLab's platform, so that they can earn, I think, what's at about like 10 or 11% additional APY to that 15% Binance Pegged Ethereum reward. So if you look at it from a long-term perspective of what a holder can really get, you know, if, with this first game, the game is similar to Axie Infinity in the sense that it's a turn-based, card-based strategy game that utilizes procedurally generated characters using genetic sequenced algorithms to allow for highly diverse sets of characters with very unique attributes and looks to them, with varying capabilities and abilities to earn more within the game, so that they have more of that intrinsic value. And as you play and earn more, they really develop and grow in their value. So if you look at their marketplace, for example, I think you might see between, you know, 50 and 100 million volume go through that in a, you know, a month maybe, right? Sometimes higher, sometimes lower. But it, you know, if you're applying 5% of a fee to something like that, then you could end up with, you know, up to $5 million that could be used for direct buybacks. And when you look at a low cap Binance token like ours, you can imagine what kind of impact that sort of price and transaction volume could have in a very short amount of time. If you apply that to the long term with multiple games and the increase in interest in play to earn gaming and Binance in general, you know, we're developing what we view really as, you know, a money printer in the long run. We're going to set up auto-generated buys from the revenue so that eventually it's just randomized and automated from a, you know, a high percentage of that revenue, so that there really will just be consistent buying pressure, but also transaction volume for the holders.
This is what immediately caught my eye when I was reading through the documents you've gave to me, the white paper. Like, your revenue model contains of multiple sources of the income, which is kind of needed in this market. And I really loved it, because also when we are looking at your chart on the CMC, then it seems, or it at least seems, that most of the holders now are diamond-handed, to be honest. And if you've survived such a jump, when BTC went to 69K and such, and now you got some holders, still it is like very good. And I'm looking forward how you are gonna put this up, because the revenue model is really good. Well, let's get back to how you guys launched. Was it the fair launch, IDO? Tell me more.
Yeah, so we did our initial launch on Pink Sale. We did it as a, you know, a smaller pre-sale with, you know, a modest, small and large cap for the requirements of BNB. I think when we launched, we were about at a, you know, a 50K market cap maybe, and about 100 holders. Within about a month, I think we got to about 3,000 holders and peaked at about a diluted market cap of, I think, 10 million, maybe undiluted of like 6 million or 5 million. So we jumped pretty quick. And then at that point, you know, we had a good amount of reflections coming in, and we were really presented with, you know, what we viewed as a fork in the road, right? A lot of projects at the time, including ourselves, were doing a lot of marketing early on, you know, after pre-sales, at launch, you know, spending a lot of money on YouTube promotions and other ways to gain that traction and really increase volume for the holders. And, you know, what we noticed is if we continued down that path, we were going to just be feeding into the hype, and eventually it would burn out. We were seeing some trends of what could be going in, a downward market direction for a period of time. So we decided to really hold off on marketing for, a couple months and use all of that money, purely for game development and incorporating and getting everything set up as well as we could before the game launch and before this next crypto bull season comes.
Yeah, that is right. Like, if we are talking about gamify projects, like there is a lot of concurrention lately, especially if we watch, for example, the last year, we saw the race, we saw the XE, we saw Illuvium, like the gaming simply blasted through. But right now, what is the problem is that we need to really look for these kind of projects with a right revenue model, with the tokenomics that's right, with the development that is really on the place. This is why I told you guys, and even the team chat like that, I really love the fact that we were the first project on the Tayarra hub, because this is what we are looking for. And so I think if we are touching the DeFi aspect, let's touch a bit the staking. And I want to ask that if you got staking available, and I saw that yes. So what is the APR? How does the staking works?
Yeah, that's a good question. So currently we have a staking pool contract that's set up with Brew Labs, which is they have their own token, but it's a project and company that operates a staking platform.
Yeah, maybe share it to chat like freely so guys can check it.
Yeah, Brian, could you share the link and I'll give a little more info about it?
Yeah.
So, we found them through some research. They're a great team of people, very professional, and they developed one of the first, if not the first, that we know of staking platforms that actually works very well with reflection tokens. So a lot of staking platforms, if you have a reflection token staked, you're going to be sacrificing your ability to get reflections at that time. But with their platform, you actually have the ability to harvest your reflections as well as compound your actual staked EFT, so that you can earn both the EternalFlow token as well as the Binance Pegged Ethereum at the same time, and also continue to compound them so that it can grow and allow you to get more in addition to what you had initially put in. I think right now the APR or APY is about 10%. We have a decent amount of our holders with, I think, their full amount of tokens staked. So if you look at BSC scan, I think right now maybe it would say we have about 2,800 or 2,850 holders. But when you have a holder that is entirely staked within this platform, it actually removes them as a holder from from BSC scan at that time, since it's looking at that pool as the big holder. So we estimate we probably have about 3,000 holders at that time, given that. And I think there's about 30 or 40 trillion tokens staked in there. I believe we put between 3 and 5 trillion tokens in for a 1-year contract to be distributed at a variable basis, depending on how many tokens are staked in there. There's no fee in order to enter or withdraw from it, and there's no lockup period. It's really just for the benefit of the holders. We had tokens that we had specifically locked up upon launch to be used for staking rewards. So, naturally, once we had them unlocked, this was just the next right move, was to make them easily accessible. We do have other additional tokens that are going to be unlocking over the next, I think, 6 months or 1 year, which are also going to be used for higher staking rewards both within and outside of the game, so that people can stake their EternalFlow token for significant EternalFlow token rewards, but also so that people playing the game have the ability to earn some of those in-game tokens and stake those in order to earn a reflection token. And what's really unique about that, we think, is that we haven't really seen many projects where you have the ability to earn a reflection token without having to pay the tax to get it. So what's unique about our revenue model is it's really with the intention of our revenue taking the hit of that tax for the transaction volume. Because if you think about it, the 15% Binance pegged Ethereum reward is really great, but it's difficult to imagine the sustainability of people wanting to continuously pay a 20% tax to buy into this token. But what is very imaginable is multiple people with different interests wanting to buy into many different game assets, which then can be directly used to drive that transaction volume purely at the benefit of the holders. So we really do think that's a unique model where we really expect that, what we think will be a strong success with the first game and, subsequent games to come, that will allow us to do this kind of unique action of really trying to drive as much of that transaction volume as possible from revenue and not from, I guess, hype.
And hey, real quick, just to add to in discussing the game, one of the things that there's a lot of different NFT play to earn games that are expected or saying they're going to be in the market. And what we found was the ones that are actually there's just a really challenging barrier to entry, right? Like if you tried to play Axie, not only do you have to install their wallets and then use a bridge and then get wrapped Ethereum and on their platform and their network, and then buy their characters. I found it to be a little bit challenging just for the average person to do that, right? And I do some development myself, so it shouldn't have been that difficult. But one of the things that we wanted to do was to make sure that we put this on the Binance network so that there were so many people on this network already. It would be very straightforward and very easy to be able to buy the characters and to play the game. So that was important to us as well.
Yeah. As we are touching the tokenomics in depth, there is an important factor on the vesting and taxes, guys. So let's really briefly talk about the taxes and vesting, and we'll move towards your NFTs. But the vesting is important, the taxes as well. So just drop a word, please.
Sorry, what's the specific question?
Let's drop a word on the taxes of yours and also on the vesting, if you've ever had some vesting since your launch.
Vesting, like token vesting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So the taxes of the token, again, it's a 20% tax on the buying, selling, and transferring of the tokens. That 20% is distributed in the following way. 15% is used to buy Binance pegged Ethereum, and then that's distributed to the holders based on a ratio of how much they hold to the total circulating supply. Our circulating supply right now is, I think, about 280 trillion, give or take. We have about 60% burned and a decent amount locked to liquidity or to be used for game or staking rewards later. In addition to that 15%, there's a 3% liquidity generation that is used. So that adds more liquidity to the contract for stability for the price. And then there's also a 2% fee that is used for marketing and development. So that's sent to a wallet via the contract, and then we use that Ethereum for things like marketing and development. In terms of vesting tokens, I think that it's a total of 30 trillion tokens that are vesting on Pink Sale. They've been locked this whole time. I think they start coming unlocked in June, potentially. And I think it's about 600 billion that's unlocked per week. we have no intention on selling any of these tokens. We haven't had to really sell any tokens on the open contract or hurt the liquidity at all. We've been able to fund the development and marketing so far just via the reflections, as well as a private sale we did, which was tax-free. So also, not hurting the liquidity or the holders at all in order to do that. And then as those tokens become unlocked, a good portion of them would probably be used for staking or game rewards. And then the other portion would be held in order to earn more reflections to, develop and market more of the game quicker.
Yeah,
Does that answer
yeah,
your question?
yeah. That's good. Like, I've noticed that you are covering the NFTs as well, and as we are focused in the C Hub on really integrating those kind of projects that have the gamify NFTs, esports, and even the DeFi in heart. So you're the perfect fit. I need to ask on the NFTs. So I saw the NFT marketplace in the roadmap in the white paper. How far are you with the development, and what's the utility in the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the NFT marketplace that we're developing, we're decently far along with it. It's going to be used for the game specifically, at least at first, in order to trade the characters as well as the land within the game. So the characters are generated as new NFTs by playing the game, by training, or what could also be, perceived as breeding two characters together, which then combines both their dominant, or I guess the traits that are visible on them, so the different items they have, as well as, any recessive traits they have, which give the ability to access other potential items that are stored within their DNA. And what that does is by combining those two genetic sequences of the characters, it creates a brand new character, which, is very likely to be extremely unique to you based on the different variables that play with the characters. Upon launch, there could be anywhere from, 100,000 to a million unique characters that are available just within the DNA sequencing. So that, if you're playing the game and you create a new character that, looks really cool or is, very powerful compared to some of the other characters you've seen, that, you have a good ability to be able to sell that within that NFT marketplace we have. The way that marketplace is going to operate is that we have one of our tokens within the game is called Chi Token. And that token is going to be used as a currency within the marketplace, as well as a token to be able to stake for EternalFlow Token rewards. So that's again like the access people will have without the tax, but people trade the NFTs for that token, which will be able to pre-sale and create a liquidity pairing for. And then they'll also have a 5% additional fee for that BNB smart chain in order for that revenue model to work. So that way, when we're getting the tax, we're not having to get it in the Chi token and then sell the Chi token and, lower the price. We're getting it in, a stable, different token so that whenever we're doing the buybacks, it's really only benefiting people.
Like, to be honest, I am the investor of Chi, so I know the project, and I'm wondering if, well, at first, let's say, could you introduce briefly the key to the voice chat listeners and our community so they know like what's the key about? And afterwards, like if you are guys planning to be partnered with Key directly, or what's the plans in here? But Avsam, I really love it.
So just to clarify, I think you're referring to a different token that shares the same name. We're going to be developing, minting our own token asset for the game. That's going to be called token. So just want to clarify on that. You know, our genre is martial arts theme. So we felt that that token name, you know, really fit the theme. And you know, if you look at the full crypto market, developing a token ticker or name that's actually unique is very difficult and also not necessarily worth it. So we went with that for the in-game currency, and then we also have a token within the game that's going to be called Scroll of Wisdom, or SOW, and that token will be used with the characters in order to train them together and to create the new ones.
Yeah, like glad we clarified that, because there is a gamify project called Xaya, you know, and they are pretty much doing the same. So I thought you guys are kind of partnered or something. But Avsam, could you talk me or tell me more about these tokens you're planning to launch alongside to the EFT, and what's the utility behind, and how exactly they are going to make the ecosystem whole?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's look at it from the three different token perspectives, starting with EFT. So EFT won't be used for gameplay within the game. It will just be something that we put in for an additional reward that people can earn. There's also the Chi token. The Chi token will be used for the marketplace for buying and selling the NFTs, so that when a player, you know, wants to sell a character, they list it on our marketplace, and then another investor or player can buy that character, and they would buy it with Chi token. That Chi token, in addition to being used for buying the NFTs, will be used for staking for that EternalFlow token, which is put into the game. And then we're also gonna have it very likely be that the player versus player tournaments that we have, where people can fight each other and, you know, have battles against each other, that there would be different levels of, I guess, difficulty or risk associated with that. So you would use different amounts of the Chi token to be able to enter different levels of the tournament to win different game rewards. The game rewards would, for the player versus player, likely include some Chi token, but most of the game rewards are going to be focused on the SOW token, since that Scroll of Wisdom token is what allows you to mint and create the new characters using characters that you already have. So we think that through the player versus computer generated characters and player versus player battles, and being able to earn that Scroll of Wisdom token, it really allows people to play the game in order to earn money. Since if you look at it almost from, you know, a point A to point B perspective, right? If you're a new player to the game, you get a few characters, you would need 3 to play the game, and then you can start playing the game in order to earn these Scroll of Wisdom tokens. When you get enough of those Scroll of Wisdom tokens, you can use those with the characters you already have in order to create new characters. Those new characters are going to be entirely unique and will be able to be sold in the NFT marketplace for the other token, which is Chi token. So already through playing the game, you've been able to earn SOW token, a new character, and Chi token. After you earn the Chi token, you now have the ability to earn the EternalFlow token as well. And then once you have that, you can pull it out of the game, and then you can stake it for additional EternalFlow token and get the Binance Pegged Ethereum. So from start to finish, you know, if you're playing the game, you have the ability to earn this chain of interconnected assets, which again, you know, we think is very unique and very thought out, and, you know, very specific with its goal of driving passive income, but also having everything drive back to that core EFT token.
Yeah, like I really love this topic of NFTs, and especially we touch the gameplay. So, guys, I know that if we are talking about gameplay, it could be lengthy, but could you put up the most prominent points of the game, what we should talk about, and what should the community know about the game?
Yeah, so at the high level, the game is a turn-based strategy game. So you will have three characters, at your disposal per battle. Each of those characters will have unique assets or unique items and attributes. So there are different helmets or hairstyles, different eyes, different mouths or masks, different armor pieces, and different weapons. The weapons, armor, helmet, and mask all have the ability, or sorry, all are paired with cards that have unique abilities and stat bonuses to them. So that when you're playing the game and playing the battle, your card and deck your cards and deck will be dependent on the items that your characters have. So that as you're playing the game and getting further along, you have the ability to find characters that you like and you like the potential of, and then you can try and combine them together and train them together to create the next best character, so that when you're in these battles, you can have access to better cards, which have better effects and stat bonuses for the characters that they come with. Those cards, like I said, will have different effects and abilities. And, the goal of the game in the battle is that you're strategically using those cards with the characters in an order and timing that gives you the advantage over the other players, so that it's not just a game where if you have the best characters or you spend a bunch of money, you're automatically going to win. People who devote time to learning the strategy and really understanding the game mechanics are going to have a good opportunity to advance well within the game and really earn that passive income. Does that answer your question about the gameplay, or is there more
yeah, like this is all good, and maybe as it is time, I think it will be the best to really focus now on what you guys achieved. You've been around since some time, and I want to ask, like, what is the proudest milestone that EFT achieved so far, and what aspects your team are most looking forward to you proceed, and so like what the products should be rollouts in the crypto space in the next, let's say, 1 or 2 months. What will be the next milestone, and what is the current proudest milestone that you guys achieved?
Yeah, so I'll list a few things, and then if Brian, you want to say some things as well, go ahead. But I'd say some things that I know we're pretty proud of. One would be incorporating in Singapore and getting that set up correctly. Getting into some major news channels and platforms with different PRs or articles we've had, Yahoo Finance, Benzinga, Market Watch. We think these different types of actions really help solidify, the long-term aspect we have here, and also, just the professionalism we're trying to display. In addition to that, I'm really proud that we've been able to maintain such a strong community over this time. Since we started the project, I've seen some projects flourish, but a lot of projects die, either in price or in their community members. And we've been able to hold the majority of our holders throughout this entire period. And that was with minimal marketing and really just based on the transparency and trust that we've developed with them, which we think reflects, really well, both in the short and long-term success of the project. And then in addition to that, just, how far we've come with the game and artwork so far. our goal is to be able to launch the game either in September or end of August time, and to be beta testing, throughout July. And also with the goal of, you said, the next major milestones, I think those would be when we start to pre-sell the Chi tokens, Scroll of Wisdom tokens, and also all the initial Genesis game NFT characters
awesome.
that players will buy in order to, initiate and start the process of more characters being generated. So we're hoping to start doing that in July, and that would probably be a couple month process just because of the different assets at play. Brian, if there's anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, just a couple things. One is, like, for me, having a fully funded game, I mean, it makes it easier to sleep, right? I mean, if you're putting an NFT play to earn game on your roadmap and you haven't figured out how to fund it yet, that's got to be a nightmare for people. But knowing that we've already got it fully funded is just a really proud moment for me, and I know it is for the rest of the team. And the other part is when we talk about the you were talking about the diamond hands of our holders. A real reason, and I think that's happened, is because of, like Josh said, is about how transparent we are. If you go into a lot of different projects, you might not ever get to talk to the developer of that project. If you go in their Telegram channel, you might talk to a mod who might know the answer to your question, but might have to ask somebody for it. Our team is very much engaged. We have team video calls with everybody on our team quite frequently. So the guys on our team that are in the channel, if we're not in there at the moment, they can answer those questions 99% of the time. So when people come to our Telegram channel, they can either talk to me, Josh, or anybody on our team and likely get the answer that they want the first time. So, I mean, that's something I'm pretty excited to have been able to accomplish with our team.
Yeah, that's awesome. We were talking about Chi or Key pre-sale. I know we are kind of late in time, but still, I would love to touch this aspect. And so let me ask, if you are planning, or if you planning the pre-sale on some launch pad, or let's say in a cooperation with some pad, what's the plans for the pre-sale, and what's the tokenomics behind the token being launched?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think primarily right now we're looking at pink sale just due to the amount of eyes that are on it. We're hoping to probably go for between 500 and 1,000 soft cap if we do soft cap, hard cap for the pre-sale. We're also looking more into the potential of fair launch and the benefits and cons of that, but we're trying to have a significant pre-sale, and pink sale can help with that just due to the amount of people that are looking into that. We also have had some eyes on the GemPad launch pad recently, just keeping an eye on it. We can see it's growing, but we also do see, there's some times when there are not really projects doing too well on it. So we just want to see how they develop. We have a little bit of time before we would be pre-selling. So, if they grow more and become a more significant player, that might become more of an option. In terms of the tokenomics, it's going to be a simple token. We've learned that when you have a reflection-based token, it becomes very difficult to work with centralized exchanges, and also you end up having to whitelist a whole bunch of contracts to get things to work if you wanted it to work within a game. But the primary thing is, we'd like to be able to get these tokens in this game to as much of the public as possible. Right now there's a niche group of investors that are focused on reward tokens and reflection tokens, even within their crypto community. So by having these simple tokens that we develop, with primarily game functionality, we can really get those out to a lot more people and a lot more of the play to earn gaming community that might be a little more hesitant to deal with tokens with taxes or reflections or more complicated mechanisms. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. From my point of view, I'm checking the gem pad as well. And to be honest, yes, as you are saying, like some projects doing good, some projects, well, depends on. Um, but this really caught my eye, and I think what you guys planning could be really crucial for the whole ecosystem as we are growing, and especially this adds the benefits once the market will turn. You will get the attention of many eyes since the pre-sale. So this is great that you are having something like that. And I see you guys, you are already or on the CMC, didn't check the CoinGecko, but are you planning to list on those sites again with the new token?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we definitely learned some valuable lessons about quicker ways and more effective ways to work with those platforms. So that would definitely be something that we would get done as soon as possible upon launch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I really love it. Let's maybe talk a bit about the community, future marketing. I know that this kind of topic can be kind of, let's say, plus or minus, but let's keep it. A strong community is like important for any project, and as I were talking about yours, I think you got some strong community out there. And let me ask, like, what is your plans to support the community to develop? As I'm seeing, I think you guys are planning a few AMAs, kind of smart marketing. So what is your approach toward the community growth, strengthening, and how you approach the marketing, even if the market is in these times of, let's say, bear market, or people are kind of in a panic, fearing the outcome. So how you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. At the moment we're still, the game is funded, but we're still making the payments on it, and we're still trying to be, as cost effective with the marketing as much as possible. We've noticed that when we do launch marketing efforts during this time, whether it be, influencer marketing on YouTube or Twitter, or, releasing articles on different major news networks, it doesn't have the same impact both in the bear market, but also in terms of a token that's already live during a bear market, right? People that are investing right now are primarily people trying to, flip things quickly or looking for something with a lot of hype that they see pumping at that moment. Our goal is, to continue to develop the game and, keep our resources at bay for the time being. And as we begin to get closer to pre-selling those different tokens and assets, then, we'll begin to ramp up the marketing again. What we're planning for that is that, what we've seen for different token pre-sales, especially, and specifically ones that have to do with gaming and play to earn, that if you work with some of the major AMA channels, whether it be Travel Ads or Golem Gems, and you kind of do at least one or two of those, you can really get a lot of people quickly to hop in on a pre-sale and really get interested in the project and company and your vision. And then by doing that, it will allow us, in addition, to any influencer or YouTube marketing we do or any articles we release, it will allow us that with each pre-sale we do, we'll be able to raise more money so that our base point for the following pre-sale is much higher. So that, if for one pre-sale we have a certain amount of money for it, the next one we might have 5 to 10 times as much money devoted for the marketing. And since, we don't think of ourselves as a token and we think of ourselves as a company and project with a core token applied to it. We believe that as we pull in more and more people through these different pre-sales, which will each be marketed and to a higher level and each be bigger than the one before, we'll be able to get many, many more people and more eyes and attention on the game and the ecosystem as a whole. And then, at a certain point, once you have all these intermingling assets that help each other out, it becomes somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy where, people holding one asset are going to be interested in the other one. And then you have all of these people now in a community where they can discuss the different ones together, learn more, ask questions, but really just grow the community as a whole, because it's not just a community for one token, but for a project and ecosystem as a whole. So again, just to get back to the core point of that with the marketing, we're going to be laying low for a bit, but as we ramp up, it's going to get exponentially stronger and stronger until the game comes about.
Like, I really love what you've just said about, but I need to ask also about this. Well, we know already you guys are a registered company trying to really pull up the best of the project. Let me ask about the backers. The backers currently are really important. So are there any partnerships already, or are you waiting some partnerships to be aligned with some other projects or entities?
Yeah, so we have team members that are devoted to seeking out different partnership potentials. We definitely are always looking for any strategic relationships, whether that be platforms that we can, offer staking on, or any other sort of utilities that we can work with. But in terms of partnerships, we view that as more of a symbiotic relationship, in the sense that it's less of a business transaction and more, both parties are going to mutually and continuously be benefiting from one another for a significant amount of time. So we're keeping eyes open for that, as well as researching, the best potentials for that. But at the moment, we haven't identified or concretely confirmed any partnerships. In terms of any backers or any sort of, if you're talking venture funds or anything like that for the core company, we're looking more into opportunities on that, but we don't have anything concrete to share on that for the moment.
Yeah, sure. So let's say if we are talking in brief and focusing on these four communities, let's say NFTs, GameFi, we go to DeFi and esports. Do you guys ever touch esport, or what's your plans for the crypto game inside?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think starting with countries or gamers that are primarily focused on play to earn gaming is where we would begin. So if you look at the Philippines, for example, they appear to be, at least currently, one of the top countries, if not the top country, that participates in play to earn gaming. They have multiple many companies across the nation that are devoted to hiring people specifically to play these games to earn money. And we think that by starting with specific countries and specific influencer or streaming gamers that focus on play to earn gaming, that we'll be able to grow the quickest. But once we develop a base community of players and really have all the mechanics of the gaming ecosystem worked out in terms of what types of players are playing, how many characters are in the game, and making sure that we have it set up in a way and documented in a way that non-crypto enthusiasts would easily be able to approach the game, is when we delve more into the esports community, where you have different streamers and gamers that, you know, you can create these different partnerships or sponsorships with, and you can pay them lump sums of money where they'll continue to play your game and bring, you know, people that view them streaming or other people within their communities into that gaming system. And then from there, you can continue to expand to more and more of these both traditional crypto gaming and non-traditional regular gamers to be able to stream your game and really, you know, grow that way. We definitely have been, you know, very open to that and are just waiting for the right opportunity.
Yeah, like this is a lovely answer because as we are, let's say, project both on the sides, we are kind of looking for these kind of opportunities, and I think we could help you guys. Might be in the future streaming with the your game, really get in touch with the esport. And what you've answered to me is really important, because if you are trying to develop the bridge in between the crypto gaming and also the esport audience, this is the really fruitful thing. And I hate when gamified projects simply say, well, we are focused on play to earn and that's it. No, like we've seen too many projects fail on the play to earn supply tokenomics aspects. And what you guys are talking here makes sense. So that's a really great point. And so I think in the future, this make a sense both from the economic financial side, from the tokenomics, as well as towards this game defendant, because it is not really easy to intertwine both of the communities. Either it is DeFi or the esports. So we need to really focus on that as a project, focus on the side to bring both of the parties on board, to have some adoption and understanding, mutual understanding, because the belief is needed in order to intertwine those. So let's start with the part that is kind of hard to someone, but I think since we've already touched a few things, I will ask you about the security. And I saw your token is audited, but let's tell it to community, like who audited the token, how was the done? You got it.
Yeah, so we have an audit already done on the EFT token, and we're gonna have audits done on the game contracts, game tokens, and you know, overall NFT contracts as well, so that, you know, everything is secure moving forward and down the road. In terms of expanding on, you know, the initial point of the EFT tokens audit, we went with, I think they're called Contract Checker. I'd have to double check. The audit is on our website linked. We went with them because they were a partner of Pink Sale, and you know, we had done our initial pre-sale on Pink Sale. We were using one of their partners because we were hoping to get the audit badge from them on our pre-sale, as well as the fact that we had, you know, had a few discussions with the developer who was charge of that audit, and they seemed to, you know, be a good fit for us, I would say, and they were very helpful. And, you know, we definitely passed that audit with, I would say, flying colors. Again, it's available on our website. I would say, you know, as we have that game out, you know, are expanding and have a lot more cash flow available to be used for things that aren't necessarily to us as crucial but still important, you know, we'd look more into some of the bigger audits, which can be more expensive but tend to bring more people in. And you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, like understandable. Like even if you got the sorting badge, this means nothing. Even sorting projects racked or so. So yes, I understand that once the budget's gonna be bigger, you'll be able to spend more even on these fancy, let's say, audits. Like if you got the Apple, iPhone, of course, there's like sorting, but what's the benefits and paying like that much? So I completely understand, and I love the I love the answer. Let's move for another question, and so let me ask you guys, like, what are the security measures, not towards the code, but towards the external and internal threats?
So we're hosted on Amazon Web Services to start, and they have, a whole array of security measures that we benefit from using their services in terms of, where any important information is stored about the project. It's backed by multiple levels of encryption and other measures that, I wouldn't really talk about, but I would say, very secure. As we continue to grow and expand, we'd be expanding our IT security team and continuing to implement any of the newest measures of, I guess, safety protocol within, the field we're in, both blockchain and IT and tech.
Awesome. Yeah, and maybe a bit about the like internal threats. That means if you know the dev team personally, I know a bunch of teams or the projects who are kind of hiring the developers externally, and this led to a really immense risk. So if you are using kind of, let's say, multi-sig, or if you know the dev in person,
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So as far as the game developers, we have a contracted company that we're using from India at the moment, but we also have multiple other developers that we, have been meeting with that we have every intention of having review and audit all of that code for us to make sure that there's no backdoor entrances or any security risks that, we might not have seen ourselves. In addition to that, Brian and our other, our CTO, Rob, both have strong experience in programming and computer science. Rob is currently also a professor of that at the moment. So we have the ability within our, executive team, as well as some of our other team members within our team who are strong developers or programmers, who we trust, who have the ability, in addition to anyone we contract, to do additional reviews and audits of. So I'd say those are the measures we have planned for now.
Awesome, definitely.
Having different, sets of developers do independent reviews of the code, as well as our own developers review the code.
Yeah, like I think it is even more important than the audit itself, because the audits only measures like if you can mint the tokens or not. Well, but we are looking at rather the bigger risks of if your developer can have the keys and just like leave with the funds. So which is not the case. That's amazing. And I think this section of the question is going to be quite important, and you will like it, guys, from the EFT. So let's start with a solid one, and this is the what makes your product unique. Let's put up some points that should hype up the community and what you like about the EFT the most.
Yeah, so I think that what makes our project and ecosystem as a whole most unique is not any of the independent factors we have, but the way they all really coincide together. So, just the high level points that I want to mention are the 15% Binance pegged Ethereum rewards, the large token burns, the very distinct and direct way that the revenue from the play to earn gaming ties in with the transaction volume of that reflection token and core token. And then also just the overall, I think, professionalism and corporate background and other diverse backgrounds that, our executive and regular teams share within our company. And, also just the roadmap we have already out and how we've, continuously hit every goal we've had and really been checking off a lot of milestones along the way. And that also, if you look at our chart and our community, we really have had, a decent amount of stability given the rocky times. Even from when we launched, we're still up from there, which, I think is hard to say for a lot of projects at this time.
Yeah, definitely. When I was reading your white paper, I saw that the purchases on the marketplace of yours gonna have some further outlap towards the royalties, double revenue income. So maybe could you touch a bit of that, because I think a lot of people in the voice chat should love the fact that there is not only the reflections, but simply you are giving the people revenue from multiple sources.
Yeah, so just to make sure I'm clear on what that looks like, and maybe we might have to double check our white paper to make sure that it aligns with what I'm saying now, but the way the marketplace works with those characters is that you have a player that either they bought a character or they minted the character themselves through gameplay, and then they're choosing to place that character in the marketplace for auction. Let's say they're listing it for $100 worth of chi tokens, right? The buyer would need to have in their possession $100 worth of chi tokens, as well as $5 in BNB, and then maybe another 50 cents to dollar in BNB for whatever the transaction fee is on the actual network, so that the $100 in chi is going directly to the seller, and then the 5% in Binance is coming into the team or the company's wallet in order to be used for those EFT buybacks. In terms of any royalty that may be mentioned, I'm expecting that it's referring to that 5% Binance fee that is used to fund the revenue. The players won't be earning royalties on the NFTs as far as the way we are currently planning and are setting it up. They would be earning the money from being able to sell them for the chi tokens and then being able to stake those chi tokens to earn the EFT token, which then would give them also the Binance pegged Ethereum.
Awesome. Yeah, this is what I wanted to highlight, kind of, that there is not only reflections, but if you see the revenue model is really strong with EFT, guys, and you should definitely check out the white paper and read all the docs. So let's move on. As we might all of us kind of seen, the crypto space is very choppy lately, and it doesn't matter if it is Luna, doesn't matter if it is like some low market cap coin. It is needed to deal with a tough competition and kind of disbelief in these markets. That's why it leads to me, like, what is the budget for now? What is the revenue model, sources of income that should secure that EFT is in the crypto space for long term, and what brings the value to the holders? So if you only could touch the budget, the sources of income, what you got would be perfect.
Yeah, so our most recent source of fundraising was a private sale we held with some of the unlocked tokens that came to us a couple months ago. We sold those to community members via whitelist, and doing so with no tax by sending them from the minting wallet, which is whitelisted from the contract, so that when those tokens were sent, no swap and liquefy functions were performed on the contract, and the people who bought their tokens got the full amount with no tax taken out. but they also, were providing us BNB directly. So we were able to secure funding for the game that way, as well as funding for, some of the marketing we've done in the past few months and some of the marketing we plan to do as we get closer to those pre-sales. I just want to stress that it's really important that we illustrate that our goal is to market those pre-sales heavily, because from what we've learned, it's a lot easier and more fruitful to do the marketing on the pre-sales themselves and to bring people into the community that way, because then we have a bunch of people who are interested in the project and we already have their ears and they already have a vested interest via some form of the asset within our company. In terms of, just the high level of your question, crypto right now is in a downturn, right? But a lot of that has to do with in my opinion, the other markets that are at play, across the world. There's been a lot, going on through the world which have affected those markets. And when certain markets in the world go down, a lot of major institutions have shared liquidity between both regular markets and crypto markets, so that when there's liquidity moving down and margin calls happening or anything like that, you can see the effect really, throughout wherever money is present. And, there was the situation that happened with, Terra Luna, and it's extremely unfortunate. But, I think it's also a learning experience for both a lot of people in and outside of the crypto community of things that, do and don't work and what to be careful for. And, when you're trying to create a fundamental change that, is going to last for good and could, be a paradigm shift to all financial structure, there's going to be some bumpy rides along the way. But, the fact of the matter is that, on average, is, only about 5% of wealth in crypto right now. And for anyone who's, really invested and really paying attention to blockchain, crypto, and DeFi, it's clear that this is the future. The amount of benefit it has in terms of speed, overhead reduction, cost efficiency, transparency, just innovation across the board. We're going to see more and more industries switching away from centralized mechanisms and more into these DeFi protocols and projects, so that we're really just going to see exponential growth over the years in terms of just crypto and the whole markets in general. And when you have your liquidity tied to a major coin like Binance, or you have reflections paired with something like Ethereum, you really allow yourself to maintain that stability of that growth that's, seemingly guaranteed within crypto as a whole, right? Because as those grow, we will grow with them, but we also plan to grow through our own actions as well. And when you pair the growth that we plan to have and the progress we'll make with, our games and our ecosystem and company, and then that aligns with the overall growth that should be coming for crypto and DeFi in general, we're not really worried about, the mid or long term. Sure, the short term's a bumpy ride, but we're pretty busy with development anyways. So, it could be worse. At least we've kept most of our community members.
Yeah, definitely. The point is that we need to make the right trust the right way. And if something unfortunate like the Luna happens, then we need to stick together. We ain't going nowhere. It may be tough. We need to face some regulations, but the sooner the better. And this is why, guys, you should look at first for the projects that have some real world overlap. Therefore, being a legal company, registered, doing the taxes, doing the things right. Nothing like a YOLO on some meme tokens. No, this is why I was really happy once I were reading through the whole documents I was given too, and the guys seem to be very professional. So this is really some key takeover thing from this. If you are in a crypto community, you should stick together. You should look for legit projects, and this what matters. So I want to ask, as we are approaching like the 1 hour and let's say half hour mark, if you got something to add on from the team of the EternalFlow Token, if not, we'll move to the community questions.
Yeah, I think we can move to the community questions. I think we've given a good high-level overview, and definitely want to hear what people are curious about.
Sure. So I've got a few questions of those, but before I will get to the written ones, I want to ask if anyone wanted to drop a question on the voice chat, and if you are brave enough to do so, just go forward and we will hear the question. All right, if there is no question on a voice chat, I will head towards the written ones, and we got a one from a crypto pearl, and I think this is kind of important one. So let me ask and read. I see you are registered as a company in Singapore. Is there any legal risk regarding to the NFTs or copyrights right now or in the future?
In terms of what may come in the future, I think that there's always going to be efforts made by centralized governing systems to try and limit what DeFi and crypto are capable of. But as far as we looked into different countries for setting up our holding company, it really did feel like Singapore was one of the more lenient ones in this space, which also high level of neutrality for many of the other countries within the region, which we're going to be targeting for gaming and just business in general. So that was a big reason, along with some of the benefits of some of their corporate tax laws and just some of the other leniencies, or I guess high level benefits we viewed with them. We also met with different teams of lawyers, and they also helped drive our decision that it really felt like, at least for the holding company part of the model, that would be the best fit.
Yeah, lovely answer. I see another really kind of important one. We touch a bit about the concurrence and how we deal with that. So let me read the questions for the Overtune Golem's Army. Currently, I see that crypto space is filled with lots of play to earn NFT games. Everyone is definitely hunting for it, but the truth is that most of these projects don't have the exciting gameplay that gamers are looking for. Can you here convince the users of how EternalFlow is better and worth playing than every other NFT game out there?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and something I'll delve into a little bit. There's two high-level points I want to touch on, and then I'll go more into specifics on the second one. The first one is that, when we looked at which NFT games and play-to-earn games were the most popular, Axie was very high, if not the highest on the list. And a big reason for that, we felt, was because you have the ability to create these new characters and NFTs that are very unique to you and what you've done through the game, and also, a high level of profit to be made off of that. So, it's fun from that angle, but it also, because of the way these characters are generated, it has similar enjoyment features of, you know, lotteries or, you know, any casino type game, but it's not, you know, just as simple as that, because it also has these other gameplay mechanisms. So you get some of the benefits from different styles of the game while still having, you know, its core game be a strategy based game. In addition to that, we've noticed, and, you know, again, this, I'll use Axie as an example, but when you have, I guess, characters in gameplay that's not overly graphic, I think that helps a lot, right? And what I mean by that is, if you look at a lot of the NFT play to earn games that are coming out and marketing themselves, you'll see that a lot of them try and be somewhat open world with, you know, a high level of graphics or details, almost as if, you know, trying to be on par with some of the regular games that are out, you know, video games, whether it be on major platforms or just PC. You know, it seems like there's some sort of mimicry going on there. But I think the issue with that, and why you might see a lot of these fail, is that, you know, they're competing with, I guess, the wrong thing, right? When you have all these traditional video game companies out right now, the amount of money and the amount of resources they have to make their games look, you know, as beautiful as possible with as I guess fluid game movements contained as possible, you know, it's very easy for them to do that. And what I've noticed is, in a lot of these new NFT games that are being marketed, you can see, you know, some gameplay and the characters look cool and the world might look cool, but it seems like a lot of them are just not going to stack up to what they seem to be trying to compete with, which means that even if they have assets within them, the odds are they're not going to stay that valuable, because the next best thing is going to come along that has better graphics. But when you have a focus more on the strategy itself, you know, how the gameplay is set up for the cards, how the battles work, and how that ties directly into a revenue model that is also tied with a reflection token, we create, you know, a very unique value proposition, but we're also not overly intimidating for new people to come and play. So both by being on the Binance Smart Chain, but also by having, you know, more approachable characters, which, you know, you can see some in our channel or on our website, which, you know, don't give off the effect that we're trying to compete with mainstream video games. We're trying to create a system that allows for asset generation that has exponential growth in those assets value, right? And that's the point of play to earn gaming. And by having its core be more about the strategy and, you know, the unique generation of characters, you allow for a more sustainable long-term system where people want to play longer because their characters that they developed, they become more invested in, and they have more of a sense of personal pride in maybe the teams they have, because no one else will have them, but also because by doing well in the game, you have access to all these other assets which have other ways of making them more stable than just the game. And in addition to that, because we really view ourselves as an ecosystem and not, you know, just one game or one token, once we have this game launched and any of those pre-sales complete, you know, we'll continue to be able to increase our funding, which allows us to develop more games quickly with more developers and bigger teams, and to do those more quickly and allow us to tap into other gaming markets, whether it be on different blockchains or with different incentives for the game and targeting different gamers altogether. You know, we have the ability to really broaden that base of community members for the ecosystem itself, but really just directly for the game we're developing, the Fighters of Legend. I think what will help differentiate us is its direct ties with, you know, a reflection token, but also that we're not trying to compete in what I would called the wrong space. I think, we've done our research, and the type of game we're putting out, we think is, fun, enjoyable, can be, somewhat addicting, but also can have the ability to really earn people money. And that was, one of the bigger intentions of it, and not just to be a hyped play to earn game, but something that we really think people will get invested in and want to continue to play for a long time.
Awesome. Like, we got a Nikola Tesla on the chat talking about that. Blockchain gaming shouldn't try to mimic the traditional gaming. Well, this is a really tough question. We are getting kind of into the space of the philosophy, mystery, kind of all of that space. So this makes me kind of talk about the things like lengthy, but can you maybe comment on if we should or shouldn't try to mimic the traditional gaming, because this is a really some exciting question.
Yeah, no, that is an interesting question. I think it's just important that you, and the you as in the company, that when a project or company is trying to approach that they fully understand what their resources and limitations might be. When you're trying to compete with these companies that are traditional, the amount of resources and community they have at their disposal is massive. And I think that, if you're following the different regular traditional gaming communities, I think there, is high level movements being made more into DeFi in general, NFT marketplaces, and on ramping some more of the traditional gaming mechanisms and high quality graphic games onto DeFi. But I think a lot of that is going to be coming directly from these already very large, very established companies, and that a lot of the tokens, specifically because we're currently on the Binance Smart Chain, a lot of the projects that I think we're competing with, are in a different realm than that. And we might be able to, really establish ourselves early on with this game that we think can compete with the current status of the play to earn games. We just think that, it can be risky for smaller companies to try and compete with the graphics of these games, where we think that, due to our understanding of what's current with reflection tokens, with Binance Smart Chain in general, and ease of access, that we might have a unique opportunity within the current timeline to really establish ourselves. And then there's always room down the road as you grow to partner with bigger institutions that have more of these graphic driven incentives to them. And then you have the ability to share some of your resources and expertise, and they might have the ability to share some of the resources in terms of creating these higher graphic games. But I think that we're moving towards there, as the world shifts more towards crypto. But I think that is just why we see, specifically on like the Binance Smart Chain, where you often see some projects that generally will be lower budget, trying to make it more as startups, as opposed to, if you're looking at Ethereum, you'll see that as well. But a lot of the companies on it are competing with much higher resource companies. So it's just important to understand where you are in the market and kind of what dominance you're looking to seek.
Awesome. Okay, guys, it's been almost an hour and a half. I think we will right now move to the wheel spin and pick the winners. But at first, we will stop the recording, and I want to thank the team of the EternalFlow Token being with us today. I think this is why the IMAs are made. We are trying to meet the communities, learn from others, and truly trying to put up the knowledge, the experience, what we've had so far. So guys, I really love that you've opted to being a first pioneers in the Tayarra Hub. We are trying really to integrate the gamify, NFTs, DeFi, making sure that there is a bridge in between the disbelief of the current system and when we were started to run an AMAS, I loved it. I learned so much. We had 8 AMAS with one of the most prominent channels, and this is why we started the Tayarra Hub. I think all of these projects that have their logic, their let's say roadmap towards the community, and the communities behind each community is unique and precise. I love that you've been here with us. You are now free to go, but also I'm leaving you a space to have a last word to, let's say, goodbye or some. You can stick around the wheel, but let's go for that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for hosting us. You know, we really appreciate it, and we're happy to be, I think you said the first, but if not the first, one of the first projects and teams you've hosted. So thank you for your time, and thank you for everyone's time. And if anyone does have any more questions or wants any more information on the project or just to stay updated, definitely come join the Telegram or Discord and ask any questions you have.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. So now you guys are free to go. If you want to stick around for the poll and for the wheel, you are free. And Meldon right now gonna start screen sharing, and all of the questions we've covered so far, we will pick on a random basis who will win the 2 mystery cards and 2 win of the BUSD prizes. So Meldon, just start screen sharing, hit up all the questions, and let's see who will be the lucky winner with Tayarra.
Hello guys, it's me Meldon. I will be picking winners of today's AMA. I set up all of you that asked any questions in chat to the lottery list. First, we will be starting with 4th place, and we will move to the 1st place. There will be 4 drafts. First 2 winners will get our mystery card, and next 2 will be rewarded by 50 BUSD. After lottery ends, we will send prizes to winners. So let me share a screen on voice call and give me a minute, please.
For sure. And in meanwhile, if you haven't done it, be sure to really check the group of the EternalFlow Token. Join the Telegram. You can ask the team or even read about the white paper and stuff. But the first step is to join the Telegram. So please, everyone, just join, and let's make this collab awesome.
Okay, so I will be starting with first one, and that guy will be rewarded by mystery card.
Did you start the screen sharing it?
Moment? Yes, it's already on voice call.
Okay, all good.
Okay, so moment, please. First one is I am Pearls. Mystery card. Okay. Let's move to next one. Mystery card.